Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. These are the seven deadly sins. One, however, is not viewed upon by society like the rest. Pride goeth before the destruction. Proverbs 16:18. Pride is celebrated by our society today. You look at other traits, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. Those are all very obviously negative. Nobody would wear those with any kind of dignity. Nobody would preach that they are full of wrath, that they are envious, that they are very slothful. Even if it is true, even though these are all very common in our Western society, pride is the only one that is praised. Pride, it's supported. We have an entire month today, as of right now, that we are right in the middle of, that its entire purpose is to celebrate being prideful in sin, being prideful in the rejection of God. You may be expecting that I'm going to go on a tangent about Pride Month now, because that is what is very common in the conservative space. It is much easier to push the negative actions of yourself onto your enemies so that you don't have to look them in the eyes. That's not what I'm going to do, because that's not helping any of you. That's not helping me. That's not making us better people. That is not making us better Christians. We ourselves are full of pride. We are very prideful. Everything we do, we are prideful of. We boast about. Think about this, right? When you're talking about something, we use words such as wear it with pride. Be prideful of your actions. These are not looked down upon. We all use these forms of speech. We all have pride in the way we talk about pride. It is something that makes us feel good. The rest, when we actually view it upon ourselves, makes us look down upon ourselves. We immediately recognize them as some kind of negative. Pride is much more dangerous than that because pride allows you to be content with going against God. More than content, it allows you to be happy. It allows you to embrace going against God, turning away from God. Do not be prideful of anything because nothing is just yours. You have to earn it. What pride is this belief that, you were born into this world and you own everything, right? That you earned your spot. You didn't. You were not special. There's nothing different about you. You need to stop looking at yourself above everybody else. And I'm not saying this to try to put myself above you, because I do the same thing. I can look at somebody who goes into the streets, into these pride parades, and strips in front of children, and I can easily go around preaching that I am better than them. I can go around saying, "Oh, I don't embrace any degenerate action. I am so much better than that." But would that be true? No. I have it inside of me just as they do. I'm just not embracing it. I'm not going through with it. We all have this ability to reject God within us because we all came from the same sinful Adam. We all have this degeneracy within us. So we have to recognize that instead of pushing others down, we have to help them up. And that's one of the biggest struggles as Christians. We have this view, we tend to embrace this view that we are better than those who reject Christ. And while we won't say that out loud because it makes us look bad and it goes against our beliefs and we know it's wrong, it's still within our hearts because everybody wants to be God's favorite child. Everybody has this desire to be the best, to be put on a pedestal. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be celebrated. So we put this pride upon ourselves. That way we can pretend like people love us. Pretend that we are better. Pretend that we are on this pedestal. Pretend that we are on this cliff looking down upon the world around us. But would that be true? No. And that's why we have to give pride to ourselves. It stops you from accomplishing great things. When you view yourself with pride, you already have this view that you have accomplished enough, that you are good enough. Somebody that is full of pride views himself as good enough to look at Christ in the eye. You really believe that? Thankfully, we have a very loving God who allows for that. He made himself human so that he could come down and allow for us to look into his eyes, even if it was not deserved. But you still have to be realistic. You still have to understand that you are not on Christ's level. You are not even close. You are just an ant to his elephant. You are nothing. You are a speck of dust. A speck of dust to the sun. The sun. That's what you are. And that's okay because that's what I am too. That's what everybody else is. We are all just people at the end of the day. We can go around pretending like, oh, we did something great, there's something that makes us better than somebody else, but that's not true. There's nothing wrong with being confident, being, what's a good word, being happy with what you've accomplished. There's nothing wrong with embracing the good that you've done, right? And yeah, you can go out, you can do something great, you can make a difference, and you should embrace that. You should be you should be thrilled with that, and there's nothing wrong with, you know, man, there's not even a good way to put this without using the word prideful of it. And that's really interesting to me. I don't usually write a script for these videos. I usually have a guideline that I try to follow a little bit, but I like this to be a very open conversation because it allows me to think as I go. And I'm realizing something here. You have to be careful with your accomplishments because it is so easy for me to say, yeah, it's okay to be prideful when you do something great, but is it really? Why would we be warned of pride by Christ himself if it was truly okay to be prideful of doing something great? Look at someone like Andrew Tate. Sure, he's done lots of good, but he's still very prideful. He still views himself better than everybody else. And that will be his downfall. That will be that will be the destruction of Tate because he views himself higher on a higher level than somebody like me or you. And that's the danger of pride. You can do all these great things, yet you are still never a god. And we as people, we like to form this reality where we start to believe we are. Because we get to this certain level as a man, we've accomplished so much, we have moved to this m- level that in the view of the world is so much higher than everybody else. We start to view ourselves as a god-like figure. And this especially comes in to fruition when you start to be treated as one. Look at these people with massive platforms, the Kardashians, the Tates, politicians. These people all have these massive platforms and are worshipped. And they start to view themselves as gods. Even look at Trump, right? We need to criticize those on our sides. We need to criticize our leaders just as we criticize our enemies because that is the only way forward. The fall of Trump can be described by a certain level of pride that he had, where he had a view that he was better than lots of people, and he was open about that, and that turned him off a wide range of voters. And then MAGA people, people like me, we start to have this same view because we see Trump, our leader, have this prideful view upon himself, and we start to say, "Oh, we are on a different level than everybody else because we support this man, because we have these social views on things." But is that really even fair to say? We can be righteous. We can view ourselves as righteous to a certain level, not complete, because we of course are not complete without the love of Christ. Our actions alone do not complete us. There's a reason that you don't have grace through actions. It's because you can never do enough to earn, to deserve to enter the kingdom of heaven. But, we can view ourselves as a as at a level of righteousness. We can understand that what we are doing is good. We can understand that we are on God's side, that we are fighting a heavenly war, that we are fighting against demons, we are fighting against Satan, we are fighting against sin itself. But we can't allow that to bring us to a level that is higher than our opponents, even because our opponents are not even truly our enemies. Think about this for a second. Sure, you may view the Biden voter, the blue haired 25-year-old slutty girl who, she's a socialist. You can view her as your enemy. And you can have this desire to, you know, fight back against what she is saying, to view yourself as higher than her. But she is not your enemy. It is the demons that possess her. I don't even mean this in a literal sense, but the demons that spread the sin within her, that have convinced her of this way of viewing the world. Those are our enemies. It's not even the elites, you know? I throw around this word. I throw around, oh, it's the elites. It's the group of people that we can't criticize. I'm sure you all know who we're talking about. It's them. They are the enemies, but that's not even true. They are just sheep, just like me and you who have followed a false shepherd. And that false shepherd, that is our opponent. It is Satan himself. It is the demons. It is sin. It is death. That is our enemy. It is not other humans. These other people they're just like me and you. They just have followed down, they have fallen to the wrong path. We are not special. We are not better than them. And any view that you are, it stops you from making growth. And it makes it so you are susceptible to the same fate as them because you are falling down a path of sin just like they did. And of course, you can't just rid your life of pride. It's not going to work just like any other sin. We ourselves are full of pride. We are full of greed. We are full of wrath. This speech that I just gave, I'm getting passionate. And you could argue that's wrathful. You could argue I am some way being wrathful towards this evil, and I have a certain level of wrath in my heart. You could make that argument. We have envy. We have envy, you know? I would love to be at this top level. I would love I constantly find myself comparing myself to other people in the field of work I want to enter. And I'm like, man, I wish I had their opportunities. I wish I could be there right now. But I haven't earned it. And neither of you. And they haven't earned getting to the next level either. We have this envy. We have an envy, right? We are all full of envy, lust. Oh man, lust. How about that one? Yeah, yeah. We all suffer from that one big time. That's awesome. We are all full of lust when we can't avoid it. Gluttony and sloth. What you're gonna tell me you haven't eaten a single piece of junk in the last week? You haven't sat around when you could have been doing work in the last week? You haven't gone and took a nap instead of prayed. These are all inescapable, but we must recognize them within ourselves to improve ourselves. And what makes pride so dangerous is it clouds the mind, making yourself feel like you don't need to improve anymore. So you stop seeing the other sins within you. And that, my friend, is why pride comes before the fall. I'm going to wrap up the video on that note, though. So if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share the video. I greatly appreciate it. I do have a Discord server. The link's in the description. If you're interested, you can talk to me on there, and then, pretty solid sized community of people interested in the same topics as you. And community is obviously very important in not only finding the correct way, finding the Christ-like way, but it helps keep you accountable. All kinds of great things come with community. So join that. But like I said, I'm going to head out. So long. Peace out and God bless y'all.